Hi there, this is Lyndon with David Batsoffen. I'm David Batsoffen, and I'm talking to Willem Dercksen, who is a biokineticist based here in London. And today we're talking about sport-specific training. Willem, hi, how are you doing?
Hi, David. I'm fine, thanks. And yourself?
Very well, thank you. Willem, sport-specific. Are we talking, firstly, what sort of sports and what specificity are you looking at?
Yes. So now that hopefully sports season is going to start again after this whole pandemic, but before the world changed, so every time when someone does a specific sport, for example, like soccer, hockey, cricket, netball, swimming, it doesn't really matter too much in terms of what type of sport you're doing. Just because with sport-specific training, you're looking at the sports, what type of muscles are required to do the sports,
Right.
and what type of movements, functional movements. And that's how you can kind of zone in onto those movements and get the person or the athlete as strong as possible within those movements. First of all, to try and prevent an injury, because you're doing those movements so often in your sporting field. And also then just to get them stronger and fitter in that specific movements. That'll give them the upper edge above the other athletes that didn't do those sport-specific training.
Does it also, does age also count? I mean, when you're 20, you can play, I don't know, 3 games of soccer back to back. But when you get into your 40s, 50s, and even 60s, you may be able to do a half of a soccer match. You're not going to finish the whole 80 minutes. So what do you need to be aware of then?
Yes, definitely. Age does play a role. But then again, also every individual is quite unique in terms of that. I have quite older athletes that will beat any younger athletes on any day. But yes, in terms of sporting guidelines and also the medical guidelines that they gave you or give you, you have to be a bit more aware of that, especially in terms of heart rate, blood pressure, all of those things. You just need to take into account when you're training someone quite close to their maximum.
Mm.
Yes, yeah. So that's, and again, like if you know that your goal is to try and achieve half a match or one full match, then you can definitely try and simulate that and try and work them for the 40 minutes or the 90 minutes that they need to play. So that's how you can adjust to that. But someone that's going to play 3 games, 2 games, yes, that's much high intensity, and you just need to be aware of that in terms of their age, health, fitness, all of those things come to play.
I remember a trainer telling me some years ago that you've got to get your heart rate up to 140 BPM if you're going to get any value out of it. But 140 is really pushing it.
Yes, definitely. Once you get past like 35, things do get a bit more tough on the body. So if you're young, it's easy to get there and maintain that. But yeah, if you get into your 50s, those age groups, like I said, you just need to be aware of what's going on. Optimally, if you can have like a heart rate strap or one of these watches that's on your wrist, and you can just look at the heart rates and take blood pressure every now and again, then at least you know your athletes are safe, and also have a proper medical screening beforehand.
That's, I think, the most important thing. If people watching this take nothing else away from this particular video chat, it is if at all in doubt, consult a medical professional. And Dr. Google or your next door neighbor or an old aunt is not an expert. When they say, oh, but so-and-so had something similar, something similar may not be even nearly what your problem is.
Yes, definitely. I can't, like you said, I can't stress that enough. If you have any problems, you have to go see someone to try and sort that out for you, because in the long run, it's going to bite you if you don't take care of it. And also, you're placing yourself and, say, someone that's like me that is training you, and you didn't tell me about your medical conditions. It places us in a very big risk of treating you. And if I don't know what's going on, I can't give you the correct treatment when something does go south.
And I suppose it's different male to female. We've already discussed age group. Can you cross train? In other words, if your main sport is, let's say, athletics, but you now want to play rugby, would you then have to incorporate both types of specificity if they were to come to you for training, both types into one sort of program, or would you pick one over the other?
Yes, so definitely it does depend on which sport they want to do primarily. So then you'll have to place your emphasis more on that category or that sporting event. Luckily, sometimes during the year they don't overlap, so then you can purely focus on the one sport than the other. But say in your example they do overlap completely. Yes, you'll have to say, like, if you can get them twice, 3 times a week to come and train with you. On the one day, then you can do, say, athletics, and then the next day you can do more rugby specific, and then say on the third day a little bit of a mixture of the both,
Okay.
or both of them. Yeah.
All right, because I suppose if you're doing a sport like 100 meters, which is just pure explosive strength, but from what I gather, you need upper body strength for sprinters as well. That's why they look like bodybuilders. Although boxers are the ones who have great upper body and no legs. They've got the skinniest little legs I've ever seen. I'm amazed they can stand. But something like 100-meter sprints, and then in the off season, or off athletic season, the guys want to play rugby or hockey for that matter. Because hockey, I think there's more running around in hockey than there is in rugby. You can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, definitely. So that's why you just need to look at, first of all, what kind of position does the athlete plays. The nice thing is, say if the person's doing 100-meter, he is or she is a 100-meter sprinter. Optimally, say like in rugby, you would like to put them in the with the backs. You don't really want to put them with the forwards. In terms of hockey, if you can put them on the wing or another position that runs a lot and has quick sprint bursts, you just need to try and get them into those kind of positions, because I think like the body will just naturally adapt to that position much better. But yes, running, you have to train that almost kind of completely separate to the sport itself, because that gives you like a baseline of fitness to work from.
And everybody always talks about the core, the core, the core. It's like in property. Location, location, location. And we're all lazy when it comes to sit-ups and crunches and all that type of thing. And you would have thought that in the interleading years since I was at junior school and doing physical ed, when, push-ups and sit-ups were the thing, yet they still are to this very day. Do push-ups and sit-ups make a difference to core strength?
So definitely those like sit-ups and push-ups and crunches, those are just like your classic favorites that everyone does. It definitely does help. So the one thing that you just need to, or that people need to kind of understand in terms of the core, you have a moving muscle and you have a stabilizing muscle. And that's where the core comes in terms of your stabilizing muscle groups. So doing sit-ups and push-ups, it does help. But if you want to do more core specific exercises, you have to do those type of exercises, which I can't really explain too much at the moment. It's much more of like a static holding kind of position, except I'm going to say rather than the moving muscles, which are sit-ups, push-ups, because the body is actually moving. The core is actually much more of a stabilizing muscle that just keeps the upper body and the lower half kind of combined in between, so that they can just stick together. And so working the core is actually a whole complete separate set of exercises.
Maybe what we'll do is another chat on core that people can listen to, and maybe we'll get you to do them while we're chatting to you. The other one, of course, are burpees and planking. Planking has become a thing. How long can you? It was sort of it's almost like a what star sign are you? It became how long can you plank? And the same with burpees. So I did a bit of research into burpees, and the doctor who invented them has apologized over and over and over for inventing them. They were invented to test non-athletes about their strength capabilities. And he said almost to his dying day, he was so upset that he'd ever invented that particular exercise.
Yes, I haven't met anyone so far that said that they enjoy doing burpees, because that's just it's just like a full body workout. It works your fitness levels incredibly. It works lower body, upper body. Yeah, it just works like every single aspect of the body. In terms of my profession, it is a great exercise, but to do them, not so much.
But also to do them properly, because often you'll watch people at a gym doing stuff. I remember years ago, he was Reg Park. He was Mr. Universe at one stage. He was standing in a gym and he was watching a guy in a mirror doing exercises. And he turned to me and he said, "Do you know what that guy's doing?" And I said, "Yes, he's doing arm curls." He said, "No, he's showing off to himself in the mirror." And then he showed me how an arm curl should be done. And it's just a twist of the wrist that puts a resistance on it. And he said, "That's what you meant to do." And it's like people like yourself who are able to show your patients or your clients exactly how to do the exercise and how to do it correctly for the sport that they're training for. It's all well and good doing 50 burpees, but if you're doing them half-heartedly or not doing them correctly at all, I should imagine all you're doing is making more, you're making more patients for yourself, because those people are now not only coming for sports specific, they're now coming for spinal injuries and all sorts of other stuff that they've brought down on themselves.
Yes, that is absolutely true. That's why, like, I avoid going to gyms, just because I can't switch off. I just want to go to every single person and tell them, "Listen, you're doing it incorrectly." But at the end of the day, you need to let people do what they feel comfortable with. But yes, say like if you come to training with me or go to a biokineticist, that's what the profession is all about: is to try and educate the person or the athlete on how to do something very specific and correct. Because when you get to the sports fields, there's no time to think of how to do it. You just need to do it very quickly and accurately. There's no time to do it incorrectly, because that's when other highly trained athletes will just get the upper hand of you. Obviously, that also helps in terms of preventing injuries. If you're not doing the exercises correctly, like you said, the next thing that goes, maybe your shoulder, your spine, just because you didn't do it correctly and had the patience to focus on that muscle group.
Yeah, this is what it's all about. It's patience in the long run. If you've been watching this and you're now confused or concerned about your sports specific training, then why don't you give Willem a call? 076 870 8031. 076 870 8031. Willem, thank you so much for your time, and we'll chat again soon.
Excellent. Thank you, David. Thanks for having me today.